very cerebral. It features a lot of role swaps for, you know, long-time pros just looking to extend their career and play support. It has been promising for Erha, who, again, I think has just been solid overall so far.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on him, too. You look at this Weibo roster from top to bottom. I mean, this is a roster that's expected to perform.
Oh, boy.
I mean, hell, you've got guys who have, you know, done pretty well at MSI over at, in the form of Xiaohu, and you really want to get him there. We'll see if this is going to be a step to potentially better times for Weibo as we move forward toward the rest of the regular season. We're going to see a first pick Talia come through for Shanks. Not one of his most played, but certainly a very impactful champion.
It is Xiaohu's most played. His Talia is 4-0, and Talia on 15-9 in the LPL was actually 10-2. So she's been, I mean, I think Talia has been really, really strong for pretty much the entirety of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Unraveled Earth is so damn strong as an ability. Can get push. You're a semi-global, which is really big in the meta right now. So good pick for Shanks. Also a bit of a deny from Xiaohu, who has 8 games of Talia under his belt. You put that in perspective, that means that 8 out of the 12 series that Weibo's played, he's gotten his hands on Talia. That's a big deal. So as the pick ban continues, of course, Rumble was given away. Big power pick for Breathe. And then that Pantheon being taken does somewhat deny that Talia Pantheon combo where you get the double globals and you get the point and click to set up Talia. So likely answer for Tarzan just going to be to take that Xin Zhao, who does outscale the Pantheon later on.
Without a doubt there, Cubby. We'll see what the mid lane pick is going to be for Weibo, and we'll see what anyone's legend does to round out their compositions. And here, they're just going to lock that Misfortune, so definitely going to be on Rel watch for the second half of bans and the rest of the draft. For Weibo, I think you probably just pick your mid laner here, right? You really don't want to lose some of Pantheon's best combinations. Obviously, Ahri against the Legos of Talia can be a little sus at times, but generally gets the job done. It will be the Ahri locked in for Xiao.
All right, we'll see what bans anyone's legend throws out at what we expect to be AD. Meanwhile, if Breathe wants any bans in the top lane to maybe protect himself, could take a couple away. This MF, it's only Hope's second MF game. It has been a pick that anyone's legend has not really prioritized. I will say a chance for MF, it has been big for Light. Light is a very good MF player. But a chance for MF this game, it could be hard for her to auto-attack. And also really hard for her to deploy that bullet time. You got to kind of wait out to see the equalizer, see where Pantheon enters. It feels like a lot of the tools they execute on Weibo, whereas anyone's legend going to be the ones trying to deter that with the Talia, with that Xin Zhao. And also, with mid laner showing, I think this is a world where Alistar does really go up in priority. For me, Alistar is the power support. You know, just being able to pop the ult, getting 2 rounds of cooldowns can really warp fights. And I gotta say, Rakan and Poppy being taken off the table. I wonder how willing Erha would be to blind Alistar. Because that's like the one pick I could really see maybe trying to be denied or just taken early if they want to wait for a 5-pick AD.
Yeah, this would potentially open the door. Obviously, we don't really see it at the pro level too often, but I've seen in the past potentially a Silas, and we know that Flandre is willing to play pretty much damn near anything, so who knows?
Yeah.
But, I mean, listen, that would be a valid option, and, you know, it looks like you're right on the money with that one, Cubby. They're clearly thinking about taking this Alistar. Man, I would love to just see him slam that Silas and just be like, all right, this is what we're doing. We're going to go pick our support, we're going to go pick a Silas, and we're just going to have a fun time this game.
Wouldn't mind Braum here for Kael, as with Xin Zhao, I think Braum does go up in value. You can try and catch the engage of Alistar. Of course, Kael. A couple other options. Leona MF, very strong as well, if that's going to be the choice.
Makes a lot more sense.
Okay. Flandre with the Galio can be the tank, can open up some space for Misfortune, and it has that Xin Zhao to get on in there. The magic damage shield, always nice against Rumble. And for me, this pick, the Galio really deters a potential Kaisa coming in from Light, because if you kill her instinct into a fight too early against Galio, really easy from the flash taunt, knock you up. So yeah, probably more likely to go Jhin here, which with the Rumble and the Ahri, got to say, a lot of value for Jhin this game. A little bit surprised that that wasn't banned out, as they decided to ban Rakan Ezreal instead.
Yeah, it seems like it'll be pretty okay. You know, obviously being able to stay at a faraway range against some of these CC-laden melee champions is going to help. Don't really have too many ways to actually proc the Deadly Flourish from a long range, unless Ahri is kind of doing a drive-by with her Foxfires and tagging a couple of people in the back line, or, you know, we're really hitting these these equalizers on some key targets, but even then you can kind of get muddled around. You're not really going to have a clear opportunity. But it is a safe pick. It is a utility-laden pick to try to really enable this Rumble and this Pantheon. I like what both teams really have going on, but again, as you said earlier, Hope going to have a hard time auto-attacking in this game. It did not get easier in the second half of the draft.
Yeah, for me, I really feel like there's a mix of scaling here. That Galio versus Rumble matchup is always interesting because in the mid game, Galio is so good at leaving that lane and just being Galio on the map. But if it goes late, Rumble does really like drastically outscale that pick. So I actually quite like the scaling of the red side comp here, as the Rumble and the Jhin, if it goes late with an Alistar, I think it might be okay against anyone's Legend. Of course, Xin Zhao to scale up really nicely, but if it goes late with the Jhin too, that can be scary. So I think the onus is going to be on anyone's Legend. I know they're going up against Pantheon Ahri. I feel like that's the bridge for the rest of the composition. I really think the onus is on anyone's Legend. Utilize that mid-game on the Galio. Find your 4-1s. Push your pedal to the metal hard there, because that's where Galio really thrives, those mid-game fights when you join, and he's just way too damn tanky to deal with.
Yeah, don't fall behind early. Don't let this Pantheon get going. Don't let the Ahri get the first reset in a fight. You should be in pretty good shape. So we're ready to head on Summoner's Rift for our second match of the day. Weibo Gaming versus anyone's Legend.
All right, as we have our Giants, of course, and get to dive into game one of the series again. Both of our squads here have dropped the last couple of best of three, especially for anyone's Legend. A little bit surprising there. As, hey, look, the graph actually supports what I was saying here.
Ooh.
That's a rarity. I actually torched the graph in the last time I casted it, and I was right. It felt good, Yanni.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes you just got to be better than the graph, you know?
Sometimes you have to prove AI isn't there yet, you know?
Exactly,
I was proving AI wasn't there yet in the last one.
Listen, man, you know, I've got a very soft spot for AI. Allen Iverson was one of my favorite basketball players growing up. So,
yeah.
Really
Nice.
getting into this game, both of these junglers are going to start over on the top side here. You know, we don't really see a whole lot of, we're clearing the jungle and we're getting a first gank off, especially when both junglers are going to be on vision at some point. But with these support 80 carry combos down on the bottom side, it's not impossible to happen.
Yeah, we'll say the MF plus Leona lane early on should have some strength. Leona much stronger than Alistar if you're able to proc the passive a little bit. So Kael and Hope should be able to do that as Shanks. He finds a really positive trade on the Xiaohu level 1.
Yeah, he said this 1v1 ain't over yet.
Yeah. The Ahri and the Talia, we've seen a lot of this matchup. I haven't been the biggest fan of Ahri, I gotta say, with the Roa build, but it does look like Xiaohu going to be going for a little bit of a different Ahri build in his thousandth game of the LPL. Shout out to Xiaohu, who has, of course, just been such a large part of LPL history. Feels appropriate, and honestly really sad, and what could have been RNG's last series last time seeing them in the LPL, just in our past series, and then to have Xiaohu play his 1000th game now with Weibo. Again, the King of Spring, huge part of the LPL history, and gets to hit another milestone. Only the second player in LPL history to do so. Looks like Mako the first one to do it. Of course, Mako's still competing as well. So great to see.
I love the fact that there are a lot of active names on that list, because it's
cool.
It's just really nice to see that these guys are going to continue to build their legacies, and I wonder how many 1000-game players we'll see, even 2 or 3 years from now, right? Obviously, future forecast.
Well, I mean, Rookie's next. He's at 990. He's gonna be.
Yeah, he'll get there. Yeah, he'll get there this year.
He's hitting that milestone next week.
Yeah, yeah, he is.
2 weeks, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. With the amount of games that are being played, yeah, you're absolutely right. Jungler's going to be on a collision course here as the engage has occurred in the bot lane here, but because Tarzan got there first, that means that Tian can't really go in. He's going to get engaged on to Kael, moving over to make the play. The Ignite goes down, but Erha scaring off Kael from any further commitment, just some summoners down.
Yeah, I actually love what Tarzan did there. He was able to buffer the wind becomes lightning through the Pantheon stun, and then was holding off on the 3-talon strike so that Kael could follow up. Did force the flash out of Tian. Then Kael turns his focus on the Erha, gets the flash out of Erha. Again, the raw strength of MF, plus especially that Leona in early levels. Leona is a menace, and Pantheon, usually the king of level 3, level 4. It was Tarzan and Kael and not Leona, able to actually get 2 flashes out, find a win for themselves.
Yeah, and that's step 1 for what anyone's Legends game plan wants to be, right?
Is
deny that Pantheon. Make sure that they don't get too far ahead by the time you get Flandre cooking later. And speaking of Flandre, he's going to head to the bottom lane here for this teleport as they've sent Hope up to the top lane. I'm sure Kael will be in lockstep shortly.
This is actually very cute. Again, MF, whenever you're able to rotate priority-wise, that strut, that move speed, and the push that MF usually has in the lane can really take advantage of that. I'm wondering if we actually see a swap back pretty soon, as this did get Rumble's TP out, and Kael's been lying in wait. They froze the wave. They set this one up. Here comes the play. As taunt doesn't connect, but we get the flash out of Breathe.
Yeah, really nice play there from anyone's Legend. I like that. Kael just said, hey, you know what? Let's wait. Now there's opportunities to be able to make something happen onto Breathe later, because Tarzan's going to be heading down there at some point in time. The question is, will you give up grubs for it?
I gotta say, too, like, even if I'm going to metagame the resources there, because Kael was soaking experience away from Flandre, but Hope was able to get some solo golden XP. That's like a win-win here for me with AL, because Galio, and levels on Galio not worth quite as much, and if you can utilize that MF to 6 first, that's a real window where you can look for a 2v2 kill as Hope and Kael, and you can't see after that wave was caught by Light. Hope up a little bit of experience, still soaking solo too. That's going to be a timer where they can look to punish in this 2v2. Again, bullet time going to be available first for Hope versus Light.
Yeah, and one thing that we didn't get to see on the screen is that Tarzan was up there covering for Tian's potential play. Again, did not happen. Tarzan has been foiling Tian pretty much at every move here, keeping the game state quite even 6 minutes in. We do have a dragon available on the map. It is Hextech Dragon. We are seeing a back come out from the Pantheon as Flandre continues to just shove in here on the bottom side. Slight advantage over Breathe for the moment.
I will say I'm a little bit surprised we didn't have like another swap back by anyone's Legend. Again, anytime that you can move MF proactively, you're always going to be first to the play off these resets. So I was kind of wondering if there was a world where they would try and flip the map again with no TP on Rumble, look for that early dragon. Not the case, though. Our bot lanes is still up here as Tian spotted on a control ward. Of course, each of our junglers going have been pathing top to bot in this game, Yanni. It's been match clears so far. Has led to a little bit of action and potentially a little bit more as Weibo, very strong at this mark, already has 6. They're going to look for the invade on Tarzan's blue buff.
Yeah, they did ping out
he's
Xiaohu,
in trouble.
so they have an idea that he's there, but
Good
Tarzan,
flash.
an immediate flash, still gets rooted up and is getting lower by the minute. He goes down. It's going to be first blood going over to the Jhin, and Xiaohu looking for a little bit more. They're going to turn their sights on Kael. He's going to go down. It's a double kill for Light, but on the backside, Hope manages to find one, but he may have run out of hope. It looks like he will be able to walk it out.
Yeah, they let him go. Got to return to the waves. Flandre was walking up to actually try and become a part of that one with the potential ultimate himself, not able to find anything. So Breathe going to get a wave in to the bot side. Just an overall win for Weibo. Again, Xiaohu hit 6, and they were able to utilize it. Nice pocket found by Erha. I know it was an early flash from Tarzan, but still able to win out hard. As again, this pocket from Erha wasn't spotted. Tarzan, with the way he walked, they didn't see the Alistar. It was a good react flash, but that opened up for a free charm to connect from Xiaohu, who had himself a beautiful fight here on the Ahri. Really don't know how Xiaohu could have played this one much better. Love the backflip, too, to make sure the true damage connected onto Kael. It was a wonderfully played fight from Xiaohu, showing the old man hands in his 1000th game here for the LPL.
And one really underrated thing, Light putting that trap down exactly where Tarzan landed to make sure he was tagged for the Deadly Flourish route. You know, obviously one auto attack would have gotten the job done, but that extra second, never know what could happen.
Slow too.
Really, really well played. A reset on the gloves as they were tagged a little bit here by Weibo. Speaking of tag, Hope down to about half HP. The Pantheon ult is going to fly in, so is the flash, the cleanse too. And Hope, one more auto attack, will go down. The feet of warfare going over to Weibo. Meanwhile, Galio looking to join the party. The knockup goes on to Erha, and he's going to get taunted up. He might not be able to escape. Does have the flash, but he'll elect to use that for a rainy day. Anyone's Legend will take the grubs.
Still not done yet. Xiaohu has that ult coming back off cooldown. And while all this is going on, again, you want to group with Galio. You got to utilize his strength at this point of the game. But it's really enabled Breathe to catch back up and start to build up a lead in this bot lane, as he's going to be up in XP after this wave. Almost gotten quite a bit of free time. And with all the movement going on, it has been Anyone's Legend playing a few less waves. Of course, MF was forced off the map there. But Weibo has a little bit of a lead here, and it's in the hands of the Ahri and in the hands of Light on this Jhin. Again, I really like this Weibo draft. I think that their ability to find picks with the Jhin, the Ahri, the Pantheon is very real. And this mid-game for Anyone's Legend, I think, is really important that they're able to hit it. If not, they're a little bit of a lower damage composition overall, just with the Toledo, Galio, MF as the carries. They aren't able to find these big bullet times or these big early to mid-game fights. I think they're going to be in trouble, and Weibo's done a nice job of navigating these and finding some favorable plays for themselves.
Yeah, the only way you're going to be able to make up that damage is if Tarzan gets an early lead on this Xin Zhao, right? And sure, he's got a kill for himself, but when it's being matched on the other side by, again, this early strength that we talked about on the side of Weibo, it's going to be really hard to do much of anything. Dragon started up for Weibo. Looks like they should be able to take this one with relative ease given their positioning in the game so far. And things are looking good for Weibo team that is looking to right their wrongs from earlier in the week. Got him.
Xiaohu pretending to not see Flandre and then able to connect with the charm. Dragon secured here for Weibo as another step towards a potential feat. So we'll say feats definitely buffed up on this patch. Of course, those boots are 250 gold cheaper now. Some of them very strong OP, specifically the treads, the Sork shoes, and of course the upgrade of the city boots are quite nice as well. So I do think the feats matter a little bit more on this patch. Moment. Yeah. Moment. Just going to be Weibo trying to play 3 lanes, going to amass economy, and again, just keep on trying to scale into this game, as they've done a really good job of navigating plays away from Anyone's Legend so far, finding a few positive ones for themselves. We'll see what next move Tian wants to make. As after he clears these Raptors, I think it's going to be Tian trying to look again on the map.
Yeah, and one thing I want to ask you as, resident genius color casters, the removal of the second grubs kind of hurts a composition like Weibo, where you kind of want to keep pushing that pedal to the metal, right? Or is the impact of a Galio ultimate, earlier on to maybe turn some of those early fights worth it, right? And something that you're sorely missing.
So in terms of second grubs, again, it just kind of slowed down the game. Like, a big picture, I like it. It actually enables junglers to take more risk. It really felt like the last patch, there were so many objectives that spawned throughout the game. As a jungler, you always just had to be clearing and make sure you're as strong as possible. There's less opportunities to look for plays in lanes, kind of like what Tarzan's looking for here. Now, Tian is showing mid, and there's a big rotation coming up from Weibo to try and defend against this. So good equalizer from Breathe, and Weibo posturing on the top side of the river to threatens enough to push him off. Now Breathe stuck with no wall, and they have a play coming down.
Yeah, Light flashed away, and Tarzan is going to get denied. Going to use his ultimate to try to stay alive. Tian is very low himself, and Anyone's Legend are able to pick him up. A very nice turnaround from him.
Yeah, again, I really like that play from AL because you could see them threatening the Rumble. Weibo Gaming saw it too. So what's their solution? Okay, clear mid. We're going to hover up, right? What happens? Well, Breathe is stuck under that turret down an equalizer, so you're able to turn on the 3 that were trying to push up, defend that play, catch him out in rotation, and take a freebie against Tian. That was a nice little do-si-do there that Anyone's Legend got the best of.
Yeah, and because Weibo were so split, there was no damage to back up Tian, right? To try to take out Shanks, who was low, Tarzan's ultimate too, keeping him upright because nobody can get in there. So really nice stuff there, equalizing that gold mark here. Minute and 45 seconds until we see a Herald. 2 minutes and 15 for a Dragon, so I think we're just waiting for Weibo to lick their wounds a little bit here and then go out one of these next 2 objectives.
We'll say Light gonna go for the Yomus on Jhin. I'm not as big of a fan, especially when you're going into something like a Galio. No Galio specs that magic resist early going into the Rumble, but like going the big crit items later on for Jin, you actually become a pretty big carry. I think that him going this build actually kind of nerfs that potential late game for Weibo that we actually kind of liked, because of course Rumble eventually overtakes the Galio in the later stages of this game, in this matchup, and we thought the range of the Jin, the opportunity of these two side lanes to be big in the late game might have been advantage Weibo later. But with these builds and this tech, I really think that diminishes their power at that point of the game. So a little bit surprised to see that from Light.
Speaking of tech, Xiaohu going for the Malignance, the classic Ahri
Yes.
build. As classic as you can really be when you're talking about Malignance. But no Rod of Ages, no drain, tank, sustain damage coming out here. It's just multiple ultimates trying to really take advantage of Ahri's biggest strength.
Roa was nerfed. I wasn't a huge fan of that one anyway on Ahri. Roa just ended up being strong. I just think that Roa and Ahri's power, like, the two items kind of went against each other. The fact that Ahri was building it so much was a bit of a surprise to me. So, Xiaohu going back for that Malignance. It's already had one fantastic team fight on the Ahri in this game, Yanni. He was able to put together some more again. Story for these two teams, again, both teams have dropped series. The last two series, in fact, coming into this matchup, going toe-to-toe. I know that the community narrative sentiment has been Tarzan's been a little off. I agree. I don't think he's the only culprit. We've seen a few fights from Hope where he's been a little bit overextended, caught out, especially on Lucian, last two Lucian games. I feel like Hope kind of threw it for his team. And then on the flip side for Weibo, Xiaohu has had a couple shaky series himself. He's been up and down a little bit. So good to see an up so far for this one as Tarzan checks Tian, and we're looking for a fight here. TPs.
Round a half. Good flash from Kael as well. Shanks going to cut off their way out, and Tian could be in a lot of trouble. Big charm coming out as well. Kael trying to stay alive as the Galio will be able to save him for right now, and they're going to look for a little bit more. Xiaohu manages to slip through and will find Kael, but is now kind of split here. It's a pincer, but Xiaohu on the weak side just going to try to slide back over the wall to get out, but this does cede river control to AL. And a flash there because Shanks, very wise there, to try and knock him back to the team.
That was blind from Shanks, and that's a lot of flashes burned for Weibo Gaming. No flashes available. I think everyone there flashed except for Light, who, of course, that flash still coming off cooldown. I think Airhaz is too, actually, as they flash simultaneously. Meanwhile, only Kael and Flandre flash for anyone's Legends. So if there's a potential dragon fight here, which I don't see AL being ready for, as they just burned a lot of their tempo on the Rift Herald, for me, it would be advantage anyone's Legend. But I think we're going to take our resets. Yep. See Talia and MF go back. So Weibo will snag the dragon for themselves. We'll see what the next play is for anyone's Legend. Is, yep, that dragon being taken. TP from Shanks immediately to go back up to that top lane and try and work on this turret.
Yeah, now Weibo with their dragon stacking. We got a Chemtech Soul on the Rift. So
first brick would be big.
Yeah,
they need first brick for the feat. Yeah.
Looks like it'll be pretty free here.
Free grubs, and Shanks gonna get some free time. We'll take care of it. First brick secured. This does mean that the next neutral objective that goes over will be feat secured for either team. As again, Tian found the ult from Tarzan as we get into the fight. I like to focus on Tian early on. Of course, he does flash, but Tarzan kind of make sure that he's stuck. As that Weaver's Wall really did trap in Tian. Did split everyone away from that bullet time. And then we do see the re-engage from Flandre going to trade out his flash for Breathes and push everyone back. Xiaohu was able to clean up on the top side, but no fight for the rest of that. And get back on the map. We're going to have to see really what anyone's Legend wants to do next. I would love to see them continue to push the pace as no one on Weibo Gaming's top side has flash.
Yeah, once the Scalio ultimate's back up, go ahead and make another play. You can see what happens when a team isn't properly set up and a Galio ultimate comes down. I mean, everybody on Weibo was so far away, you know, from Tian, just not able to really save him there. So see if anyone's Legend does want to take advantage of those couple down some of the spells. Obviously, Xiaohu's still going to be rather slippery. Take a look at the gold graph over on the left side. Couple members in the 7,000 gold club as Hope just eclipsed Xiaohu. Meanwhile, some fighting going on here. Hope can get stunned up. Multiple members for Weibo are here first.
Able to sneak out of that. Hope can sustain himself back up with the BT. So AL actually absorbing that play. Might have tempo on the map. And yeah, that's going to be enough for them to actually just drop that Rift Herald. They're going to look for the charge here. Of course, Hope with that Bloodthirster can heal off the wave. And this is kept breathed in this lane to try and defend against this. The crash coming in. Galio rotating. We're going to have a fight.
Yep, the knockup is going to land onto 2 here. Here comes the Weaver's Wall to split things up, but Tian gets to the back line. Good Rumble Equalizer, trying to do some good damage, but it's just not enough. Tian is going to go down 2. It's a 2-0 for Anyone's Legend. They're going to take the turret. Maybe they're going to look for more, but it looks like the rest of Weibo are able to get out of there.
Really didn't like that fight, that take for Weibo. I know that Light popping the ultimate, but man, this lethality, or the Youmu's into RFC Jin just didn't do anything in that fight. As those bullets were thrown out, and that curtain call was literally just for show, as Anyone's Legend tanky enough to absorb that, and the Gallia ult that came down for Flandre was enough to make sure that 2 kills went over, rather 3. Wow, we're going to get the full picture here.
Yeah.
And again, Hope did burn cleanse, but a good absorb by Anyone's Legend. Of course, if you absorb the play, Bloodthirster, be stronger, better conditions, you can stay out on the map. And this crash, I mean, look at, like, Light pops the ult, but look at how far back Breathe has to play, too, cut off by the Weaver's Wall, which was great placement by Shanks. It was only an equalizer, which really wasn't that effective. As again, Erha just not quite able to get involved and find the right setup. Good Weaver's Wall to, you know, cut off Breathe and Light. Again, a Light with that curtain call with this build, I just don't think that it's the right build for this game. As I think it takes away, like, what could be a backdoor late game comeback for Weibo when you aren't going for the crit items on Jin.
Yeah, I think the attempt is maybe just to leverage the early strength that we talked about this Weibo team a lot and kind of get rid of your late game insurance policy. That way it's certainly a risk, but it's a risk that hasn't really paid off. I mean, when your Jin is 2-0-1 at this stage of a professional game, you expect him to be putting in a lot more work. And, you know, credit to Shanks there. Again, really good Weaver's Wall, as you mentioned. Putting AL firmly ahead here, up nearly 3,000 gold. Next Dragon coming up in about a minute. They're going to want to take that one to really finish off Weibo's hopes of getting the stacking done and really make sure the map is their oyster for a long, long time. Hang on. Kael looking for an engage. Rumble's overheated. Breathe is just dead. He's going to flash away, and it's not going to do a damn thing.
They could look Otacon. Of course, I think it's worth trying to deny this soul point for Weibo. Breathe will be back out on the map for that, but Equalizer burned in the back half. Not going to have that cooldown available for the Dragon fight, so would love if Anyone's Legend actually finds a reset and looks for this one again. Yeah,
not going to have his flash either, so you're just a melee range Rumble, man. That's very dangerous when you're staring down the Leona, when you're staring down a Galio, right? This is going to be big problems coming up for Weibo, and you know, they desperately need this Dragon, and if they let this one go, again, as we just talked about, with no late game insurance policy, you're kind of cooked.
I mean, the last couple of fights, too, it's been Tian kind of being isolated on the Pantheon, so Tarzan on the Xin Zhao, first to Black Cleaver, and at this point, Xin Zhao, for me, just a more valuable champion than Pantheon, now that we are, you know, past that level 10-11 mark. Pantheon loses some strength. Erha gonna go in for fun, waste his Aftershock, and no engage comes back. Anyone's Legend, they take the crab, they take river control. Breathe is here again, Equalizer down for a few seconds. We'll see if Anyone's Legend wants to push the pace. All that cooldown is down as Kael.
Okay, Erha, big engage here. The roof goes down too, but guess what? Nobody's there to back him up. Now it's going to be Xiaohu trying. Tian gets the back line on top of Hope. Hope will go down, but Tarzan's going to get to the back line here. Life Force to flash away. Xiaohu uses his last dash, but Kael is sticking on top of him. Flash expended, but Tarzan in hot pursuit, picking up the double kill.
I just think that engage into Hope, bullet time was down. That's just not the right person. Hope was able to live for way too damn long. And the re-engage on the back half from Flandre and Tarzan on 2 different points of the fight. Weibo couldn't deal with it. That's going to be soul point denied as Anyone's Legend picks up their first Dragon and, frankly, take full control of this game.
You're going to knock down the start on the bottom side too. You're going to ruin any hopes of Dragon stacking. You're going to be up nearly 5,000 gold. Take a look at this replay and how this fight kicked off. Erha with a good attempt there, but didn't land on Shanks either.
Yeah, good react flash from Shanks. Again, Hope didn't have that tool available, and he gets focus melted down, but for what? Again, this re-engage from Flandre was fantastic with Tarzan. They went on this side of the fight, and then Tarzan afterwards. Good follow-up by Kael. That Zenith Blade was able to buffer through the last dash of Xiaohu's Spirit Rush. Tarzan follows up with a Wind Becomes Lightning, and no flash even needed. They take down the Ahri, and again, a 4.5k gold lead for Anyone's Legend. They did secure feats off of taking that Dragon too. I think that's a big deal, because when you upgrade these boots, especially see the upgraded Merc Treads already in the inventory, of Flandre. That's one of the really strong boots from the changes that were made. That one and the Sword Shoes won't be available, but still, that's enough for them to start up this Otacon. This one's going to be taken uncontested as Weibo Gaming kind of reeling.
Yeah, not too much that they're able to do. They get some vision down on the bottom side. They take out some of these jungle camps, but guess what? That is not worth the price of admission for an Otacon. There's purified spirit petals, giving you the extra EXP, the extra adaptive. Of course, whenever you kill somebody, getting that extra little AoE burst of extra damage and a slow attached to it. Otacon, a really interesting objective now. It feels... I like the change personally, but it just feels weird because, you know, we had 2 Otacons. For a while, we only had 1 Otacon, to be honest.
And then they killed off Grubs, too.
Yeah, you know, I mean, killing off Grubs was fine. I think that's okay.
Well, the second spawn, there's only one
yeah.
Grub now, not 2.
But there's 3 technically.
I guess Demacia was just a lot kinder towards pets than
brother,
Ionia.
I hate to tell you this, it was Noxus.
Oh, crap. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I was worried about it the first time, but didn't say anything. So, you know.
See, that's just mean. I made another mistake because you didn't nip it in the butt.
This is true, but that was during the one. Listen, I thought you misspoke. It was during the 1v1. We
Nope.
talk a lot as casters, and sometimes, you know, we accidentally the wrong thing.
For me, definitely more often than not. I think it was just 3:50 in the morning, maybe speaking. That'll be my cope for that one.
This is 6:50 in the morning, me speaking, man. So you have no excuse, my friend. I don't want to hear
I-
any of your cope.
Hey, man. I worked as a caddy growing up. I knew those early mornings. It's nice to see the light of day. Meanwhile, see if Weibo Gaming can find any light of day.
No, they're plunging into the darkness, man.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit grim again. Really feel like they've been outscaled. I don't like the Jhin build this game. I am very biased towards crit Jhin. I just don't see the value of non-crit Jhin when every 4th shot is a guaranteed crit that Infinity Edge can buff, and then Collector is like a okay crit item that actually gives you lethality too, which Jhin loves. Going for the LDR, assumedly coming up next, is the right call, but hey, you could go Collector LDR or IE LDR and be fine.
Yeah. Not looking so lethal this game, is this lethality Jhin.
Well,
he hasn't picked
I was
up a
about
kill
to say,
since.
he's trying to be lethal with lethality, but one of the opposite.
Charm lands. And here comes Shanks. He's trying to rejoin the team. Erha's going to get engaged on the knockup for Tian, but he's still alive and kicking. Here comes the knockup down on Erha, forced to flash away as he's getting low. His ultimate's going to time out real soon. And here comes the taunt coming through from Flandre, doing a lot. Xiaohu's got to run for the hills. Tian gets knocked up and put in the bounce house again. And once again, Kael on top of this legendary Ahri. And we're just in the shooting gallery here, and it's nothing but whiffs. Ben Simmons at the free throw line. As anyone's legend will head to the Baron.
Yeah, hard hit BB guns from long range there as light. The bullets go wide. The engage from Weibo Gaming went wide as, man, we spent a lot of time talking about how the Panther combo was split up. Well, guess what? The Talia for Shanks, you have a Xin Zhao, and also that Galio for the setup is Flandre. The find there, the 4-man taunt. Let's get another look. That's what changed the fight for me. As this engage from Shanks, I really like. I mean, obviously Tian burns the E, but realizing that if they take down Erha early on, Alistar is actually really important for the fight because Breed doesn't have setup. And this equalizer was poorly placed from Breed. Weibo was already on the retreat. He needs to drop that on top of his team and not past most of where anyone's legend was at. So on top of that, and of course, Flandre, that 4-man taunt, that shut down any hopes of a fight for Weibo Gaming. As a really nice fight played by them, controlling it with the Weaver's Wall, and Weibo Gaming just really not even close to finding a winning engage there.
Really beautiful stuff from Flandre. Some questions on what he was going to play. We thought Galio fit very nicely into the composition, and pretty much ever since...
mid-game spike hard.
Yeah, ever since that mid-game, he's been fantastic, doing a great job, 2-0-9. A real unsung hero because he's not getting a ton of the kills, but we're going to give him the love that he very much deserves. Dragon up for the taking if AL want it, but I'm sure they'll wait till they're on the way out because the siege is on with the Baron up minions. As here comes the double global play here. Xiaohu trying to get in some good damage. Flandre also joins the party. Shanks has to go golden as Tian is going to get turned on here. He's forced to flash away. Xiaohu going to try to get after Tarzan, but he can't over on the other side of the fight. Breed is barely breathing, but he's able to flash out as Erha and Light have to run for the hills. Weaver's wall coming through. Xiaohu has got to get out of there. He's going to flash over the wall, going to dodge out on that knockup as Tarzan will start up the Dragon, but it looks like he'll think better of it as the rest of his team is in the base.
I'm used to Breeze's Rumble actually being okay. It's been a really rough Rumble game from Breeze, as these equalizers in the Rumble overall has not been on point, getting gapped by Flandre's Galio. And frankly, the rest of Weibo Gaming getting gapped in the back half of this game is... did highlight, wanted that mid-game for anyone's Legends to be good. They needed it. They needed to find the early mid-game wins, utilizing a lot of the semi-globals their comp has. And Weibo just get after a couple good early fight skirmishes, Yanni. We've not been able to find anything in their favor.
Now, they were really shut out for a large majority of this game. I think anyone's Legend played against this composition very well, and save for a couple of wayward scraps where a kill or two were given, clean from start to finish so far. Obviously, it's not over yet. We could see some mess in the mud very soon, but anyone's Legend are way too far ahead to really have any error happen unless they make a grave mistake.
I think looking back kind of in hindsight, I do want to praise the Leona pick here by Kael. Speaking of Kael,
might have some time to do it. He's not going to hit that Zenith Blade. Xiaohu has one more charge left. Is going to hold it for that Leona ultimate. Seismic Shot not going to land on him, but they're still going to find him anyway and take him down. That equalizer does land flush. It's not really doing that much. He does manage to kill Kael. Erha has to run. He's burning away too. As the siege continues for anyone's Legend, now a 4v4, so they're knocking on the door of this top inhibitor.
Xiaohu must have said something to him, man. They burned every single tool they had available to take down the Ahri, and to be fair with the lead that anyone's Legend has, going to lead to another inhibitor being taken, as both top and bot inhibitors knocked down in anyone's Legend favor. And again, kind of revisiting, I think Kael has been the best support in LPL so far this year.
He's been consistently
really good.
Great.
I really like the Leona pick this game. It kind of gave the MF Leona that early game strength. And playing Leona into a champion like Pantheon, where Pantheon has to play at melee range, your ability to just have that 5-second stun. We have seen them really win out on the frontline war. With the help of Galio, of course, as Flandre has been doing some work, but I think Kael has played this pick really, really well between the Zenith Blade buffers and some of the looks and finds that he's had. Kael continues to have a really, really nice split.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to play into an Alistar too. But, we talk about all the time with these LPL supports and how a lot of them have not lived up to expectations. Again, Kael has been pretty consistent from start to finish here. Good flash. Zerha goes all the way in. Ultimate coming through as they get on top of Shanks. Here comes the curtain call too. But guess what? There's too many big bodies in the way. They're going to turn on to Breathe, and Hope gets sniped down on the backside. But Shanks is able to take him out, and then Tarzan going in and get a little bit of help from his Galio on top of it too. Light is the last one. He's going to get taunted. He's going to go down. A triple kill for Tarzan, and an exclamation point of the game. Anyone's Legend up 1-0.
Honestly, I thought it was a good fight from Breed, but the front line was just destroyed, or the back line was destroyed with the front line of anyone's Legend, as Flandre and Tarzan did work in this game. 8-1-10 to wrap the game up on the Xin Zhao, as Tarzan drops a bomb on the map, and anyone's Legend kind of cruises to a Game 1 victory here, Yanni. Of course, both of our teams looking to bounce back as they were each on a 2-series loss streak. Tarzan was the big difference maker in that one, as the Xin Zhao really took over against that Pantheon, as Tian couldn't get the ball rolling fast enough.
Yeah, again, it was really great. They shut down Tian. They made sure, hey, we're not going to lose to the early game Pantheon. Really good stuff. We're able to just kind of carry their game plan on from there. And again, got to talk about Flandre, who played a really damn good game. I mean, even in that last fight, at the end of it, he's still full HP, man. Like, he was on the front line, he dropped his ultimate, and he just didn't take a lick of damage.
I mean, to be fair, the Yomu's RFC Jin wasn't going to do any damage to him.
Oh, he's pumping. He's pumping, bro.
He was trying.
Not pumping a whole lot.
Yeah, he was trying into the Galio.
Yeah, it's like when you're in the bathroom and you're trying to get the soap dispenser, and there's no soap left in the soap dispenser. You're just trying. You're trying, and it's just the soap's not coming out, right?
Yeah,
get your mind out of the gutter.
I got concerned halfway through that reference, so a good save there, Yanni. But hey,
it's okay. I did too. You remember how I said earlier? We just kind of say a lot of things as casters. Sometimes I got halfway through. I'm like, man, I'm trying to make a soap dispenser joke, but I've gone into a really interesting place. Thank God they can't time me out for that like they did in chat earlier.
Or, ban like they did Dr. Disrespect. Anyway, moving forward. Yeah, I know. A hell of a reference there. Anyway. Yeah, the Jin build wasn't it. I think that the scaling that Weibo Gaming could have had later on, it just didn't find the connect on that. once you go for that Yomu's RFC build, which is allergic to damage. And that really felt like the bottom line here is the Weibo Gaming comp was kind of allergic to damage. Wasn't able to, do anything. I think it was a really nice game from Shanks, Kael, Tarzan, just to find the setups and open things up for Hope, who ended up having a good one in the back half.
Yeah, really nice, especially because we talked about earlier how Hope was going to have a really tough game, based on how the compositions were.
Yeah.
And his team did enough to make sure that he could even enjoy himself a couple of times in that game. You're an 80 carry, sometimes you just get those kind of games like, all right, well, the team is just going to hit me with an intercontinental ballistic missile, and I just hope that the rest of my team gets the job done. And they certainly did and bought him a lot of room. He also played out a lot of those fights really well. Not for trying, though. Erha on the other side really had a good effort on that Alistar.
Yeah.
Just a couple of times, anyone's legend, just instant flashes to get out of there.
He got kind of stuck in the front line. I think hindsight 2020. Again, I said I would have liked the Jhin in that game earlier on, but the Galio did get really tanky. Maybe that's a game where you actually put the Ashe back in. Ashe has seen a couple buffs. The ability to potentially kite out a Galio, Leona, Xin Zhao is actually very real, and you have good damage elsewhere. So I know Light's Ashe is also pretty damn good for Weibo. Maybe a pick that they would want back, as Light just didn't have the team fight impact that we really wanted to see, or Weibo Gaming needed to see if they wanted to win that game. And also Breathe, I feel like it was a really off game from Breathe, as sitting at 0-2-1. At one point of the game, we just didn't see anything from him. It was pretty tough. So, yeah, kind of a roughie.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that ends up being like, okay, you're in the lane against the Galio, and then you were left alone for so long that you don't really get into the flow of the game, right? It's not something we really talk about too much, but given the fact that players are human too, I've been in a couple of scenarios myself where it's like, yeah, I'm just kind of farming up and not interacting with these champions. Then you get there and you just kind of forget how they work.
Yeah, I mean, as we dive through some of the replays, I gotta say, one of the unsung heroes this game, maybe something we didn't mention, the Weaver's Wall placement from Shanks. It was really good.
So good.
Throughout this one. That was a good one, really trapped Tian. As we did see Xiaohu get the best of Kael on the top side, but of course, these fights roll out. You're gonna see a lot of good looks. This Weaver's Wall was fantastic. Cut Breathe off, wasn't able to do anything, and then the Pew Pew Gallery from Jhin also didn't do anything. Frontline melts for Weibo, and that really was a common story, that frontline playing into the Leona, the Xin Zhao, and the Galio. Not the kind of setup for an Alistar Pantheon, gotta say.
Not at all, Cubby. All right, now it's time to start talking MVPs. Who do we think we're going to get here? I think that you can make a great case for Tarzan, especially because of all the down and dirty work that he did. But definitely a couple of other honorable mentions. I think Flandre would be a really good option too.
I would actually give it to Flandre. I think that he really outplayed his opponent, and I think that's the tiebreaker for me. Also, honorary mention to Kael. I know Tarzan got a lot of work done in that one, but really feel like Flandre and Kael were the ones that controlled the majority of that game. And again, made this really good positive game for anyone's legend. Looking to bounce back from a 2-series loss streak. And yeah, a 4-man taunt into the enemy 80 carry getting flicked by Talia on top is... Well, can't ask for anything better than that, really.
Yeah. The only question sometimes with Galio is like, all right, well, who's enabling Galio to get into the fight, right? And if you want to really get into the minutia of that, then it's like, okay, sure, you could end up going with Tarzan outside of the pretty score line. But I just think that this is a really impressive Galio play on a champion that you don't really laud for being, oh my God, this guy's an amazing Galio player, right? But, Flandre certainly put in a ton of work this game.
And Flandre's history sure as hell was an amazing tank player.
True.
Flandre has always had a job in the LPL when he's wanted it because of his supportive play. That really has been a difference maker for Flandre throughout his career. And this is a meta where a lot of tanks are available. Even Flandre's new Trusty Dusty York pick that he's tried to play a lot for anyone's legend. Still an option here for him and this crew. Might see that later on in the series. But, hey, that Galio pick... we kind of forgot about that answer into Rumble. Anyone's legend sure as hell didn't. They were able to drop Flandre's pick to the second round of the draft. Still find a really positive champion for him to play. And Flandre made his presence felt in that game.
Go draft or Tabe,
As always, let's be honest.
As always, man, when the heart of the team, Flandre, is beating well and the soul of the team, Tarzan, is going in and being completely fearless. Anyone's legend are very fearsome. A team that is going to be really difficult to stop here in the LPL. Already up 1-0 in the series against
Speaking
Weibo.
of Tabe,
Oh, yes.
Annie. We've seen some Annie.
Yes.
I think
Yes,
Annie
we
is
have.
a seriously damn good champion right now.
Yeah.
I could actually see some Annie come through later on in the series. I unironically actually really like it into Ahri, if for whatever godforsaken reason Ahri gets blinded.
Well,
in
we'll
these
need
games.
more of this game, at least.
Yeah, we're seeing some Orianna come back. I think the Annie-Orianna matchup's it's a bit of a flipper, but hey, you get to play Annie into a immobile mid.
They gave it to Tarzan.
Okay, they gave it to Tarzan. No love for Flandre and the Galio. Makes me a little bit sad, but hey,
Yeah.
it was a big
Plenty
game
of
for
love
Tarzan.
here.
Yeah. Even though they didn't show it in the replay of like that first play bot side, but him and Kael did a really nice job of getting flashes out of Tian and Erha and starting off a positive chain of events there. We saw Tarzan be a pretty big threat a lot of these fights, so I thought Flandre was pretty impactful on the Galio, but of course Tarzan was involved in a little bit more in this game and ends up netting the pog, so well played for him.
Tarzan's 8th MVP was certainly well earned, as was the win here in Game 1 for Anyone's Legend. We're going to go ahead and take a short break, and when we return, we'll kick it to the Game 2 draft between Weibo Gaming and Anyone's Legend. Be there or be square.